We're at the midpoint of the 2023-24 season, and many teams are playing well as expected. Some are near the top of the standings, seemingly out of nowhere, and others are nowhere to be found. The Minnesota Timberwolves have shocked many with their impressive start, but at this point, they look like a legit contender and a team that may finish the season among the top 2 teams in the Western Conference. Anthony Edwards has been on the rise since he made it to the league as the first pick of the 2020 NBA draft, became an All-Star last year, and plays so well this season that he has not just put the Wolves on top of the standings, but he has drawn comparisons to no other than Michael Jordan. Ant is among the top 5 candidates to win the MVP this season, and with the support of Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, the Wolves may be the biggest surprise of the season. The Wolves' main rival for the top seed in the West is another team that made a huge leap. The Oklahoma City Thunder made a trade for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a couple of years ago, and by adding elite talent in the recent drafts, they have become a legit contender. Shai is the 3rd best scorer in the league, and Chet Holmgren and Josh Giddey have been playing at a level that is not expected of such young guys. No one could have predicted that these 2 teams would be in the top 2 spots in the standings, as the Western Conference has been very competitive in recent years. The defending champions, the Denver Nuggets, are keeping pace with the Wolves and Thunder, but some teams are not meeting expectations. The Phoenix Suns added Bradley Beal to the roster in the offseason, and with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker already in Arizona, the Suns looked like a team that no one would be able to slow down. However, Beal has been injured for most of the season, and the Suns have been losing games against average opponents. The Golden State Warriors are another underachiever in the West. Draymond Green has been in the headlines for the wrong reasons and has missed the majority of the games with suspensions. Steph Curry is still just under the 30 points per game mark, but he has seen some poor performances and recently ended his streak of consecutive games with at least 1 3-pointer. Some of the role players on the Warriors team have publicly stated their disappointment with their playing time, and it would be no wonder if the Warriors are active on the trade market before the deadline. Victor Wembanyama has been one of the top stories going into this season, as the #1 pick from the last draft has been surrounded by so much hype. His numbers are solid, but given that the Spurs are at the bottom of the Western Conference, his impact on the league is not as high as expected. It's tough to label him a disappointment, but that is definitely the case with the 3rd overall pick, Scoot Henderson. The Blazers had high hopes for the point guard, but he's not even close to the game we all expected of him. The Los Angeles Clippers were another team with a slow start this season, but things changed when James Harden joined the team. The former MVP and a 3-time leading scorer has not been playing his best basketball in recent years, but after adapting in LA, the Clippers have been playing very well. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Boston Celtics at the top of the standings. That's not a surprise at all, but seeing how well Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday have fit in, the Celtics look ready to make it back to the NBA Finals. They have a perfect home record at the midpoint of the season, and the all-time best 40-1 home record is on their radar. The New York Knicks are the team to watch in the East, as they have been consistent, and this may be the turning point for Knicks fans. Many of them were skeptical when the team signed Jalen Brunson to a max deal, but the point guard has proven that he can be a leader. He had a 50-point game against the Suns and went above 40 on a couple of occasions. Another player who's turning heads this season is Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers point guard led the team to the final of the in-season tournament. Halliburton is leading the league in assists, and despite being out with an injury at the moment, better days are coming for Indiana. The Sixers are among the best teams in the East, and reigning MVP Joel Embiid leads the league in scoring, and he even averages more points than minutes this season. That's not a surprise at all, but Tyrese Maxey has stepped up big time for the Sixers. The shooting guard is averaging over 26 points per game this season and is the frontrunner for the Most Improved Player award. On the flip side, there are a couple of teams in the East that have had a disappointing season. The Washington Wizards traded for Jordan Poole, who looked like a star in the making when he was with the Warriors, and we all expected him to explode in DC and be among the best scorers in the league. Instead, Poole has the worst plus-minus ratio in the league, and it seems like he couldn't care less about the team's failures. If there's one team that looks even worse, it's the Detroit Pistons. They made history by losing 28 consecutive games, and they will most likely go into the history books with the worst regular season record ever. All this makes this season exciting for the fans. And if you dare to predict what will happen until the end of the season, share that with us in the comment section.